Yes, guys, and welcome back to We Are Tottenham TV for another pre-match pump-up. Lately, there's been more pre-match discussions because of the way results are going, but it is a London derby and anything can happen in these games. Good omen today that Harry Kane's last, I think, 11 goals have actually all come in London, so hopefully we'll see another couple today. And interestingly, Tottenham Hotspur on their Twitter page put up a picture of Richarlison coming into the stadium. I wonder, is that a sign that he might start? But look, Marlon, how are you keeping today, my man? Excited, London derby?
I'm good. I'm apprehensive, but it's West Ham. If the boys can turn up today, it's all theirs. West Ham have not been good this season, so hopefully, let's get it on. Basically.
Stop. Shawnee, how are you keeping, brother? Good to see you on yet another pre-match build-up. How are you keeping?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. It's good to be back with you as always. It's good to share the screen with Marlon. It's been a while, Marlon. Mate, I'm good generally, although I've got to be honest, I've spent most of the morning on rival shows, going around like mixing it up with Arsenal fans, Liverpool fans, Chelsea fans. And listen, I took a hell of a lot of banter. And I want to ask this question immediately to you two and let the guys in the comments answer as well. These guys are saying that the top four race is a fait accompli. They're telling me that Liverpool are going to win it because Tottenham and Newcastle are going to fade away. And first and foremost, I disagree with them about that in a nutshell, that Tottenham aren't in it in the conversation. But also, I felt like there's a little bit of disrespect from some of these top six, these channels that only have the top six, like the traditional top six on. I was saying that I don't think that you can write Brighton off. I don't think you can write Brentford off. I know that they're not traditional top four teams, but neither are Newcastle. So if you've got Newcastle in the conversation, there's 6 points that separates fifth from ninth or fourth from ninth. I just felt a little bit like I've been bullied and bantered all night long, all day, all morning long, rather. That first of all, that Tottenham are no longer relevant in the conversation, and neither are teams like Brentford or Brighton, and maybe even Fulham. And so I'm just wondering whether or not, are they right, or am I right to say actually it's a bigger, broader conversation than just it's Liverpool's now?
No, I think it is a broader conversation. You look how Liverpool's season has gone. It hasn't exactly gone according to plan. It was only last year they were challenging for the quadruple. And when you look at the Premier League, it's very tight. You've got three teams. I'd put United in, maybe sneaking in for a title race. And then after that, it's very tight for the top four. It's a very sort of evened out Premier League this season. And look, what I will say is it is there for anyone to grab the bull by the horns and really take command of it and take control of your own destiny. But Sean, it goes back to something I've been saying a long time. Everybody in the Premier League hates Tottenham. They just look for an excuse to have a go. And that's why I'm more like you, Sean. I'd rather go into these channels and absolutely banter them across the board, rather than give them any sort of inch. But that's the sort of pathetic football fan I am. But I enjoy it, to be honest with you. And, if they're going to give it to me, I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, yeah, well, we're Tottenham. I'm going to sit there. I'm going to represent my club. But to say that Tottenham are out of it.
Well, I had a £50 bet. I had a £50 bet with one of these guys, Kunle from One Touch TV just last week, saying that Tottenham will finish top four. So my chest is out about Tottenham. That's why games like today are necessary for us to get the 3 points. I hear what Marlon was saying backstage about, and I'm sure we're going to talk about all this stuff. But I was just like, I feel like there's a lot of disrespect going around, Dave. I feel like people that are like the Arsenals of this world, the Liverpools, they won a couple of games. They got their boy Cody Gakpo, who's finally started to kick into gear. Nunez. They're all like suddenly like, oh, we're back, baby. Well, let's just see what happens. Because if Tottenham win today, we are back in the fourth spot and it's all to play for. And that's why I'm like, I feel like I have to give these guys a little bit of chest. But I wasn't getting any support from people in the comments. Sure. I want to find out if these guys feel the same as I do.
You got to start bringing me on with you, Sean. That's what you got to do. Start dragging me along. I'll tag team them with you. Marlon, where are you at with the conversation, though? Sean, right? Is there a disrespect to Spurs out there?
There's always going to be a disrespect to Spurs when it comes to the top six side. And when you look at the Liverpool situation, everyone said this after they beat us. That's it. Liverpool turned their season around. And they didn't win a game after that away from home when they got beat by Brighton. So you'll see in the next couple of games how Liverpool do when they play the lesser sides. Let's be honest, they've beat Newcastle twice this season. It's the only team Newcastle have lost to. And Newcastle, at the end of the day, might come back through. We don't know. But the top four race is wide open, literally wide open. And Spurs, it's only inconsistency that kind of why everyone's disrespecting us. But when you look at the teams we've lost to, a lot of them have been in the top sides. I think it was like Villa and Leicester, the only two that are not have been. Everyone else we've kind of beat and got away with it. So it's time to be positive. I think today is the start, hopefully. If we can get a result in these next 2 games, why not? Sean can hold his chest out high. You know,
Exactly.
let him go. But
Mate,
yeah,
the amount of weight, the amount of weight, Marlon, the amount of weight that I put on in this particular area over the last 12 months, my chest is always out, regardless.
Same as mine.
Pamela,
I feel you, Sean. I think mine is probably a bit bigger than yours, to be honest with you.
Not sure.
But look, guys, you know, 2 London derbies coming up, very important times. And look, after the 2 London derbies, you've got the FA Cup, another league game, and then Champions League. Sort of a pivotal time for Tottenham coming up, right, Sean? And like you said, results went our way yesterday. We can either, you know, grab it by the horns and go all out for it, or our season could be very easily over the next couple of weeks.
Listen, like we've been getting away with a bit of murder. Like we lose to Leicester. And you think we dropped the ball, but then everybody else drops points last weekend as well. This is why I think this whole season is so fascinating. Any team is capable of beating any other team on their day, from top to bottom. Arsenal were top; they lost to Everton in 19th spot, rock bottom bar one. There's so many results. Southampton beating Chelsea yesterday. Nottingham Forest taking points off City. Bournemouth dropping points. Brentford dropping points. There's so many shocks and there's so many stories that are left to be told this season, that Tottenham need to recognize that and say, despite our injury process, right, our injury crisis, we've got players that have proven that come of the hour, come of the man. They seized that moment. Carpe diem against Milan. Obviously, the result wasn't great, but it was in no small part down to our midfield. It was a mistake at the back, and it was poor policies, poor chemistry, whatever up front. If Tottenham can figure this out, there's so much left to play for. Because every team is beatable and every team can beat you on their day. It depends how you turn up and whether you want it more than the next guy, and whether you're focused and your mind is on your job, and whether you get that job done for the 95 minutes, the 90 minutes plus injury time of the game. And you're right, mate. Listen, if we can step up against West Ham today, look, Chelsea's another tough fixture next week, but we're in the beginning period of like a decent run of games. But on paper, it looks easy, but they never are. Them just need to focus on getting the best out of their team. And I think we're going to talk about this in a minute. But for me, one of the biggest issues that I have is the inconsistency of our front three. The areas where we have options, the areas where you look to and go, well, that's the strongest part of our squad. Yet at the moment, they're not really kind of firing on all cylinders. There's a little bit of lack of chemistry. That, to me, is the difference today. If Kane, Sonny, or Danjuma, or Richarlison, or Decky, whoever that front three looks like, if they can hit the ground running, then we've got a chance. Because I think we score more than 2 goals against West Ham, or two or more goals against West Ham in 8 of the last 10 games. If we score 2 goals against West Ham today, we should be okay and take the 3 points. And we're back when we're fourth again, everything's to play for, right?
It is, but I can't take this 1 week you're in fourth, the next week your season's over. It's not good for my blood pressure whatsoever. But you know what I will say to people out there is, look, I'll probably get called naive for this, and probably rightly so, but it's not beyond the realms of a possibility that we can go on a run. We went on a good run at the end of last season. You know, Son got most of his goals, contributing to his golden boot. Kane picked up for him and got a lot of goals at the back end of last season. And look, hopefully we can do the same this time round. It was actually from this weekend on where we actually went on that really good run. So hopefully that can be the case. And my man, I don't think anyone is content with top 4, but when you can't win a Premier League, you've got to try and salvage the best possible finish after that. And after that, it is finishing top 4 to get Champions League. But Marlon, 2 London derbies, have they come at the right time? You know, where it can maybe inspire you as a team to get out there, give you that sort of inspiration you need going into the next game after some of the results we had? Or do you think it just adds more pressure and have they come at the wrong time?
I'm glad it's West Ham first, Chelsea second. Put it that way. I think if it was Chelsea first, West Ham, I'd be a bit more worried. But after Leicester's result last week, they've got to do something today. They've got to put in a performance. And if you're going to do it, West Ham are going to be up for it. You've got to be on point. And at least they can do it now, a week before, you know, Chelsea comes in next week, because, you know, for Chelsea, they'll turn up against us next week as well. It's just a typical thing right now. So as long as we can get out of these 2 games unscathed, why not? Why not? It's the inconsistency that's going to let us down at the end of the day. You know, Leicester was a result was not expected, but you know it happened, and they went to Milan on Tuesday, played better, but still mistakes happened to get that first goal, and then we've just got to cut them out defensively. Going forward, yeah, we've just that whoever it is, any one of them, they've got to be on it, because if they're not, we are just not functioning at the moment. And I think on Tuesday, if them three were on it, I think we'd have come out of that game either with a point or three, because they weren't no good. And I think West Ham are going to be a bigger challenge today than what Milan were. So we've got to do something. We've just got to be positive. I think as a fan base, we've just got to just get behind them and let's do this now. We've got we're still in 2 cups. You know, we've still got a 4th spot to fight for, in the sense of things. You know, finish as high as we can, possibly 3rd if we get on a run. Let's do this.
Exactly. And you look, the Milan game, the reason why I was disappointed is because I felt like we left the result there at the end of the day. I just felt, you know, on another day we probably would have came out with more. And I don't think you'll get an easier away game in Europe. But look, you know, Tottenham are at their best when their backs are against the wall and they're giving themselves a lot of work to do. But just today, there is expected to be a big Harry Kane tifo in the South Stand. Really, really look forward to seeing that. But it's also a beautiful day for football. Sun's out, not too hot, nice breeze out there. You know, it's an absolute incredible day for football. And hopefully the players match that on the pitch. But look, Shawnee, what changes do you want to see made to this lineup today? Because we concede a lot of goals and we have to be weary today that West Ham are dominant in the air. They will batter us. But we've also got a creativity problem going forward that is creeping in the last little while. So, you know, what sort of changes do you want to see today that maybe might freshen it up a little?
I'm worried about the idea of playing Emerson Royale. Sorry, I'm worried about the idea of playing Porro and Perisic. I'm going to call it out there, right? I've been saying it ever since.
Yeah, you have.
Been saying it ever since before we signed Porro. Love the idea of signing him, but it's contingent on whether or not he can defend. And listen, you know, my thoughts on him defending at Sporting, you know, his stats don't look great. I know it's a terribly small sample size against Leicester alone, but he was absolutely torn apart. And when you've got Perisic on the other side, both of them with the propensity and the proclivity to sit up there on the offside trap, it becomes more of like a 3-2-5. And that to me has danger written all over it when you get torn and when you get turned and the transition in play goes the other way. So I'm worried about that. I don't know if that's the way we're going to go today. I think that might be the outcome, but I think that could be a mistake. I don't necessarily think Emerson Royale should be dropped. I think he's had his best little 3-4 games in a run now for Tottenham. You know, he can do his job at the right, you know, defensively. No one argues with that. Even going forward, you know, I just think that when you don't have the option of playing Sessegnon instead of Perisic, I think that it kind of forces your hand. If I was in charge, I would be saying, sorry, Pedro, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer. You know, maybe we'll give you 20 minutes and see how you cope. But I think it's just a bit of an issue. Where I would say Tottenham have got chances is with the injuries that are in West Ham. Kurt Zouma, I was worried about Kurt Zouma because when Harry Kane has been the focal point of balls being popped up to the top end of the pitch, he doesn't have protection of the referee. He didn't have it against Simon Kjaer against Milan. He didn't have it against the Australian fella from Stoke. What's his name? Sutar. And he didn't have it against Fayez against Leicester. And when those long balls get popped up from either Foster or from Romero or from Dyer or whoever, I feel like if he can't control the ball, everything breaks down a little bit. And so with that, and that's basically dependent on whether they've got like a monster centre back that can come on and lean on, and Kurt Zouma can do that. Well, I'm not sure West Ham's other defenders can do it to quite the same level. So I think that there's a chance for Harry Kane today. But what I would say is, I think that Sonny needs to be rotated, rested, whatever, dropped, call it what you want. If he continues to have this form, it sends the worst possible. It's been sending the worst message ever for the longest time. It's a disgrace that he keeps his place in the team all the time. We've got options up the top end. It's our top end that's going to be the difference today. And if Stellini via Conte plays Sonny, and we're going to find out in 7 minutes, then I think that it's a horrible move once again. I'd like to see Richarlison come in, but I don't necessarily want to see Richarlison on the left. I'd rather see it be more of a 3-4-1-2. Bring Decky in, unless you're making a double pivot and dropping Decky as well, which there's a justification to do that as well. His form's been poor. And if you bring in both Danjuma and Richarlison, then that's interesting. But if it's just Sonny that's dropped, then I think that you maybe make the better argument to go Decky in the 10 and then have Harry Kane and Richarlison playing next to each other in almost like a double 9, and then be able to ping those long balls up over the top. It's not going to be pretty. You're not going to see great football from it, but I think it could be effective football where that could sort of generate some more success. I don't know if that makes sense, mate. Those are the changes that I'd like to see.
Yeah, look, I definitely think changes are needed. And when you look at the forward line, I think, yeah, you could drop Kulu, but he's probably done more than Son this season. So that brings me to maybe giving Son a little spell out of the team. Because, look, I've said this on my own channel. I think the reason why Son's not performing is because Son's at his best when he's with the ball facing the goal, right? But last season, Harry Kane was able to drop deep, pick up the ball, and opposition teams were very happy to let him do that because their thinking was, well, further away from the goal he is, the better. But what they didn't realise is the passing attributes that Kane has that turned him into like a Kevin De Bruyne. So then they were being punished from it, but Son was benefiting from it because he could just get on his bike, run in behind, and Harry Kane would find him with the pass. This season, they're double teaming Kane. They're taking him out as soon as the ball gets to him, even when he does drop deep, which then means that option to spin and play Son is not there. So then Son has to drop back further and further and deeper to be able to get on the ball to try and affect the game. But with him doing that, his back is to goals, and his strength is not holding off players, and he's getting ragdolled around the pitch. But he doesn't help himself that when he does hold it up, he has runners off him, but he won't give the ball. He's trying to get turned. So either Son needs to learn to hold up the ball and get turned, or else he needs to develop something like passing range similar to Harry Kane to become more effective in a deeper role. So I do think there's a good call for dropping Sonny today. But Sean, I also want to ask you, just quickly get back to you on the fullbacks, and then we'll get Marlon in here for what he was doing today before the lineups. Now, Stellini was asking his press conference maybe about a change in formation to a back four. But Stellini basically said, look, no change in that. We've only got 3 wing backs available. Now, you made a good point before, and you've been on this ever since we were linked with Porro, that Perro and Perisic isn't to attack on either side. And when you look at the Leicester game, you could probably argue that was the case. Perisic hasn't offered a lot going forward recently either, which is what his saving grace was. Yeah. Is there a case of moving Emerson over to left wing back, dealing with Jared Bowen today, who will start over that side, which is West Ham's main source of creativity and goals, and having defensive there, and having Porro on the right going forward?
I don't think so. Look, I think that Emerson Royale is tried and tested as a right wing back. He's right-footed, very much right-footed. There's a stronger argument to say play Emerson Royale at right side as centre back and maybe move like Romero into the middle, take away Dyer. There's an argument for that I think actually holds water, but it's still untested. It would be an experiment, and I don't think we've necessarily had enough time with the disruption of Conte being sick and all those things to really figure that stuff out. But to play Emerson on the left-hand side, where he's only really played 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there as an inverted wing-back, and to ask him to do the same defensive job on the left when you've got players that are going to run at him, and it's obviously you're inverting the entire system, right? So you have to be able to kind of invert your own ability to defend. Look, I think that the inversion of the wing-backs thing, it can offer something different going forward. When we've seen it previously, like even when you do the same with the forwards, right? Like the ability for Sonny to step in with his right versus step in with his left. There's options, but when it comes to defensive vulnerabilities, I think that what you're taking in Emerson Royale is a player that can't go forward with the ball anyway on the right or the left, but he can defend with his right foot on the right-hand side and do that job. But when you're taking him and putting him, that idea of putting him on the left-hand side, you still have no benefit from him going forward. But now you don't even know if he can defend either. So to me, I think that that's too much of a risk. Maybe there's a future situation where that could be used as an inversion, but to do it today, I think is too important a game. West Ham are going to be too up for it. I think that would be exposed pretty badly. I think what we just need to do, if anything, is to listen. If you were to make the argument to say rather than playing Perisic, play Ben Davies at left wing back. And then play Porro on the right wing back, Porro to be the aggressor, and then give Ben Davies the job of sitting there trying to pocket. I'm not a fan of it either, for what it's worth. Like I don't think it's a great idea, but I'd rather see someone who can defend, who's left-footed, play on that left wing back. If you're worried about the threat of Jared Bowen, I don't think it makes sense at all to play Emerson out of position over.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I do think it is important that Emerson starts today because of West Ham's aerial ability, and Emerson is one of our best headers of the ball defensively. So I do think, regardless, Emerson probably does have to play today. But Marlon, my man, where are we at? You know, what changes would you like to see today?
I'll probably only make one, and that would be Son. I'll take him out the firing line. I'd probably put Danjuma in. I do get Sean's point about bringing in Richarlison, and he does need to play up top. But again, have they had enough minutes on the training pitch to play the 3-5-2? Probably not.
Yeah.
And with Kulu coming in behind, so probably if it's like if it comes to if the first half and it ain't working with Danjuma, then try it. Then try something different in the second and bring Richarlison on and make it 3-5-2 if they can. And then you've got the option you could play Kulu or Danjuma. And then there's a point of, Son's best game so far is when he played up top against Preston. I know it's Preston, but he played up top. So there's that possibility. As for the wing-back situation, yeah, you've got to play Emerson. You have to play Emerson. He proved that he done all right against AC Milan again. But yeah, it's one of them. You got Porro. I was worried about Porro defending when he came in. And that was the biggest issue. Everyone was almost crying out for a right wing-back. But the biggest problem for us was always going to be our centre backs, and now we're left with Dyer, Davis, Longley. You're kind of like, okay, these are people even Romero got mistakes in them. So it doesn't matter who we play elsewhere. If they're making the mistakes, it's going to happen. So maybe playing Romero with what's his name with Emerson Royale is maybe the point going forward. But as for that left hand side, I haven't got a clue. I wouldn't even know where to start. I'd probably say go with Longley instead of Davis today, but. Perisic hasn't been great either the last few games, so it's just fill it in right now and just get on with it basically because they're both doing exactly the same. Ben Davis on Tuesday was awful when he came on, which was worrying, but he's probably the likely one to play today. But as for changing formation, 4's not going to work for us, 3's not working for us. It's just one of them. We just have to get on with what we've got, and hopefully at the end of the season we address it.
Here we go, guys. Teams are out.
I'm not sure what's going on. My whole computer's after freezing.
I can call it out, mate. We're still live.
Bring yours in.
All right, I don't know, Marlon. Can you still hear me? I think Dave's dropped out a little bit. All right, Dave. Until you get back, I'll just take over a little bit. So we got the team that's out right now. Oh, what we got to work with here? Fraser Foster in goal, Christian Romero, Eric Dyer, and Clem Ongley steps back into the team. So Ben Davies dropped to the bench. Emerson Royale does start ahead of Pedro Porro. I think that makes a lot of sense. You've got Ben Davies is on the left, and there's no Perisic either. Wow. Right. Okay, so that's what I was just saying. Ben Davies maybe makes more sense than Perisic today, but to play Royale and Davies. That's weird. That's a ridiculously defensive formation. And then you got Skippy and Højbjerg starting. No place for Pape Sarr. Is this a back four or a back five? And then you got Kulusevski, Richarlison, and Kane. So Sonny's been dropped. Yeah. You've got Richarlison and Kane. We'll figure that one out. Davies is playing left wing back, I believe. Royale right wing back. Dyer, Longley, and Romero, and then Skippy and Højbjerg. That is an incredibly defensive formation. Wowzers!
I'll be honest. I'll kick this off. I don't agree with the Ben Davies call. I think when he came on against AC Milan, he was absolutely atrocious. Every time he touched the ball, he gave it away. But where I do understand it is, I do think it is to maybe try and counter Bowen in terms of to match him defensively, because he is West Ham's main source of goals, main source of creativity. So I do reckon that's why he's probably put Ben Davies in there, is to maybe shore it up a bit more defensively. Skip over Sarr to partner Højbjerg, I'm quite surprised on as well, boys, to be honest with you. I can understand it. And I know Højbjerg and Skip had a good partnership last season, but I think it looked so good is because we were used to seeing Højbjerg and Weeks, which didn't work. But then when we signed Bentancur, Bentancur came in and started moving the ball out of that midfield into the forward lines. I sort of worry how we're going to get the ball into a Kane, a Richarlison, and a Kulu today in terms of progressing out. You look at the wing backs. Is it going to can they do it consistently enough? Same as the centre-fielders and the back line. So I do have maybe little fears that Kane, Son, and Kulu might spend large period of games without the ball or even isolated. I hope to be proven wrong. I don't understand the Sarr one though, boys. For me, I thought he was the best player on the pitch in Milan.
Yeah, I think Ollie Skip though didn't. I think Ollie Skip flew under the radar a little bit. Like, I watched that game back, and I watched the highlights like many times. Sarr put in a brilliant shift. Don't get me wrong, but Ollie Skip also put in a really good shift. But because people were like looking forward to Sarr to see what he did, I think Sarr got all the plaudits. I thought Ollie Skip put in a good shift as well. I agree with you though. I think that Sarr should probably deserve the spot. If you're gonna, I guess because they've gone with Davies, I guess that they're looking at Skippy and thinking he's the guy that can get forward more than Sarr can. And so therefore a little bit more kind of like opportunity to push forward through the middle. It's a very weird system. Marlon, sorry, mate. I probably should give you the floor on this one.
No, I was going to ask. I was going to ask you, both of you. Do you think actually it's going to be a 3-5-2? Actually, Kulu's going to play behind Charleston and Kane, and that's why Davis and Royal come in. Maybe that's how when we see them line up, that possibly could be it. Because that's a two that against. Let's be totally honest here. It's West Ham. Why we go? We've got 5 defensive players there who are good defensively and not good going forward. So, and then you've got Skip and Højbjerg who are quite defensive minded as well. It's Kulu can't be the only source that we're going to have creative. So maybe they have gone 3-5-2.
I'd say that Perisic is being rested a little bit, right? I think that you have to nurture him a little bit. You have to manage that. You know, Perisic has played however many games now on the bounce, and he's going to be asked to play, another 7-8 games on the bounce, right? So I think that maybe the Davies move is maybe they've looked at the fixtures and gone, yeah, you're right. Jarrod Bowen's a threat down there, right down our left. Perisic can't handle it. Plus Perisic has been played, 2 games a week for the last however long. We need to give him a breather at some point. That makes sense to me. In terms of whether or not we're going to see Kulusevski drop deep into the 10 and then Richarlison play like a double 9 or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. If you do that, then I don't see any width, any access. It's going to be an incredibly direct system. Yeah. So I think that doesn't really make sense. I think you probably are going to see Richarlison on the left-hand side and Kulusevski on the right because Emerson and Davies are not going to offer any width, right? So if we're going to do a 3-4-3 with the players that they've chosen, it's weird though. To me, like if you're going to play Davies, you could have played Porro. So I don't know. It's a little bit confusing to me.
The reason why he's kept Royal in though, Sean, is because he is we are wary of West Ham set pieces, and 9 times out of 10, it's the opposition that gets their head on it first. But Royal, if it is a Tottenham player, is usually Royal, and that's probably why he's playing.
Good point. He's the best in the air defensively, without a shadow of a doubt. He's better than any of the others. And he's very useful at that back post, clearing the ball. Yeah, all right. So on that basis, then I'd be amazed if you see Kulusevski go into the 10. You'd have to play those 3 as wide as you can to get some sort of width into the game because it's not going to come creatively from Davies or Royal. It's a strange one though. It's a really odd one. Like listen, we'll see what happens. I don't hate it, but I'm just surprised. It's not often that a Tottenham formation surprises me or a Tottenham team surprises me. And this one does.
Do you think that Moyes is sitting there now and seeing that lineup and he's even a bit confused? He's probably prepared something completely different. So this might actually stun West Ham into their tactics. So actually, we're looking at it going, what? But actually, West Ham going into this probably going, what are they going to play? It's going to be. Is he going to drop in?
And you know what, Marlon? I don't mind that, mate. Like on Dave's channel, on my channel, all day long, every day, I talk about the lack of unpredictability. I make this point all the time that, like, if you're one of the best teams in the league, in the land, and if you're one of the best managers, then you have the luxury and the affordability to sit there and say, no, I'm going to pick my team. I don't care about the other team. If we execute our game plan well, we're going to win. Yeah. And that comes with the arrogance of the success. The people like Pep Guardiola can do that. Conte has done that at Tottenham to his detriment, I feel. Even, what's his name, Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool last season could do that. This season, not so much because the team has avoided it a little bit, like escaped him. So to me, seeing a bit of unpredictability, it removes the ability or it even negates the preparation that West Ham and David Moyes have put into this week. They've probably been doing drills all day, every day, expecting to see Perisic on the left-hand side. And they've been playing, oh, look, Perisic is awful. So look, if you ping the ball down the left side, blah, 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 going to have some success. To see this team come out now, they're probably scrambling and thinking we prepared for a different version of Tottenham, and now they're probably panicking a little bit. So there could be an upside to this.
Well, we've made 3 changes to the lineup from the Milan game. Look, I think first of all, I think it's a very defensive team. I don't like it, but I can also understand why. You know, you've got Leicester where they dominated the game. We got absolutely slapped up. And then you've got Milan where we dominated the game and we still conceded. So I think it is more so looking at maybe, looking to keep it tight and breaking on the counter attack today when I look at that team. Richarlison on the left, I'll be honest, I'm a bit dubious on whether this is going to work because he had a little period there earlier on in the season. He kept on losing the ball. It was really frustrating, much like what we're seeing from Son. I get you've got to give someone a go, but for me, I probably would have given the go to Danjuma, to be honest with you. I think I'm not sure if Richarlison's going to work out there or not, guys.
Yeah.
I agree. No, I would have gone with Lucas. If we're looking at it, if we're looking, I know a lot of people, but if Lucas is there, Lucas has played there, and I would have probably gone with him on that left-hand side just for the first half and see how it went. But yeah, it's a bit of a confusing. Like it's the thing is, I'm sitting there and I'm still trying to work it out. I think we can work it out, but it's at the same time you're going, I can't see that working. But it is West Ham, so we have to take in consideration they're not the strongest team that we're ever going to play. But at the same time, we just have to, as long as they're all on their game, we can get a result. It just depends on where Davis is going to be on this pitch. Is he going to be further back as we would expect, or actually is he going to be moving a lot more forward than what we expect from him? And that's the issue.
I have no doubt he'll probably be tasked to get forward when we're on the ball.
Yeah.
Again, it's the quality in that final area. Look, it hasn't been great with Perisic the last while. It's been crap with Session. Davies, I don't think will fare any better. But look, we've got a couple of super chats to get to. Moondog says, afternoon, lads. What bets are you doing today, Sean? Just quickly, Moondog, I've actually got one. So Tottenham haven't drawn in 21 home games. It's either gone either way. There's been no draws. And these teams haven't drawn the 2 games they faced each other in the season in like 20 or 30 odd years, if not longer. So I'm going for a draw today. I've put a $5 on it. Let's see what comes back. But look, I do think Tottenham
what
can win.
What else did you get?
Though. But Shawnee, any bets?
Yeah, look, I'm not going to bore anyone with that. I'm not going to. Well, I was going to ask you what else did you get? Was it just on the draw, just a straight draw? No particular outcome.
I have to go and get the receipt. I done it down in Ladbrokes. I have to go and get the receipt.
Okay.
But
what's your? Yeah, I like to have a little. I've got my big money on standard outcomes, but that's all boring stuff. I've got a couple of wild ones for you. I've got 145 to 1 on Richarlison to score first, Tottenham to win the game 2-1, and Dejan Kulusevski to get an assist at some point in the game. 145 to 1. I think those odds are just a little bit too tempting. So I stuck a cheeky $5 on that. And if that comes in, it's curries all round on the Irish Hotspur. And listen, even if you don't want to have that kind of bet, you can just get some. There's a lot of really juicy prices on anytime scorers. And if you're looking for a Tottenham win, if you want to bet Tottenham win, you can get like 50 to 1 on 3-1 Tottenham with Harry Kane to score anytime. Like there's a lot of really good price value out there on Betfair. I don't know what your betting market is. Not that we condone betting, of course, bet sensibly, all that stuff. But I'm a massive degenerate when it comes to this stuff. And for me, that treble bet of Richarlison 2-1 and Kulu with the assist, I think is just too tempting for me not to waste a $5 on it. Yeah, that's where I'm going.
It is tempting, and like the thing is, it's one that on its day you can sort of see happening. Moondog, though, let us know if you've got any on, brother. Big yourself up, Moondog. I know Moondog likes a cheeky bet. And then we've got Travis. Big up, Travis. Where in America are you tuning in from, my man? He says it's either a 3-4-1-2 with Decky as a 10, or maybe a back 4 with Dyer in midfield. Unlikely, though. Look, Travis, I'll be honest. I think it's just a normal formation. The normal one we play with sort of like a 3-4-3 or whatever you describe it as. I don't think it's any different, if I'm being brutally honest. Look what UEFA done during the week. They put out a certain formation with a 4 at the back, and it's just like whoever's working for them and putting that out there deserves to be sacked because it was just never ever going to be the case. I'll be honest. I do think we'll just see the normal formation. But
what? Travis has got a good point there, though. That's not a bad shout. Like, it could be that Dyer could step into the midfield a little bit like he did against Man City, playing in that kind of DM role. Do you think?
Yeah. I think if it goes to that, though, I think it'd be more him being asked to move out from centre back rather than position him in midfield, which is slightly different. If you're positioning him in midfield, then it is a tree in midfield. But if you're asking him to maybe be a centre back but move out into midfield or get tighter, I think it'd still be a tree at the back. Look, I'm not shutting it down. I think, look, if I can see it happening if the with Kulu maybe playing in the middle with Richie and Kane going in behind. Me personally, I just don't think so. I think it'll just be the same as what we're used to seeing, to be honest with you, Travis. Big up, though, my man. Really appreciate the support, brother. Let me know from whereabouts in America you are from. I see the $ there. And Jack Kanikalenko is in here. He says, not only is this a London derby, it's also an Emerson derby. Yeah, I believe that means Emerson starting for them then as well, that guy they got from Chelsea. Look, I do think we've got the better Emerson, though, Jack, if you want me to be brutally honest, my man. But big up and really appreciate the support. And, I was only saying on the Irish Hotspur, it's mad that all December, everyone was like, get rid of Emerson, he's useless. And now everyone in the chat is calling for Emerson to start. It's absolutely hilarious. But, guys, I want to know, there's been a lot made on Antonio Conte and Stellini. So just quickly, here's the Everton lineup. You've got Fabianski in goals, Kufal at right back, Kerrer and Agbona in the middle with a guard who a late fitness test. He's in there. Then you've got Emerson, Rice, Soucek, Downs, Bowen, and Antonio. So interesting. Who's this Downs?
Yeah,
is he young?
Yeah, they're going to match us because Agbona and Kerr are all centre backs. You've got Emerson and Kufal will play wing backs. Rice and Soucek will be in the middle. And Antonio will be, they're matching us. You could buy that lineup.
He's a midfielder, Downs, yeah.
So you reckon they've gone three at the back as well?
Yeah, they've gone three at the back.
Flynn Downs, his name's Flynn, like the guy from Breaking Bad. Hopefully he'll break bad today.
Yeah, they've gone defensive too. When you look at that lineup.
Interesting.
Yeah,
it's interesting team. I think it's gonna be maybe on this one, on the back of this, it could easily be a boring 0-0, couldn't it?
Harry Kane penalty 1-0. That's the bet.
Yeah, it's actually not a bad shout. You know what, Marlon? It's not a bad shout. 1-0 penalty.
We've got to appreciate this. That West Ham are actually, I think, inside like the top 3 or 4 with goals conceded. They've conceded very few this season, but their problem is they don't score an awful lot. So, but like we concede an awful lot, but we score goals. But lately they're starting to dry up. So it could very easily become a very tight game, a very tactical game if they're matching us up, which would be interesting. But there's been a lot made about Stellini and Conte this so far over the last couple of weeks with Stellini coming in for Conte. And some reckon that Stellini doesn't put as much pressure on them or doesn't maybe strike as much fear into them as Antonio Conte does. So on that basis, do you think we'll see a rejuvenated Tottenham, a bit like what we've seen against Man City, Sean?
What's that? Because Conte's not around and Stellini's in? Is that the argument?
Yeah. Because I like, a lot of people say with Stellini being there, the players probably feel a bit more free.
Look, I don't know if it's a big enough sample size to make any kind of assertion like that. I think people are kind of clutching at straws. People who have had a little bit enough of Antonio Conte's, one half FC stuff, and the shackles are on, and we wait to go down. All those memories that like pile on yourselves, and then you look. Well, when we played against Manchester City, we played for 2 halves. When we played against Marseille, we were okay in the first half. We weren't dreadful, but in the second half, we came back and we fought for more than. It wasn't a 2-half performance, but it was certainly more than 45 minutes. And so I think people are putting two and two together. Can't even speak. People are putting 2 and 2 together and getting like 5. But I mean, maybe there's some truth to it. And look, stranger things have happened with the emergence of assistants that are coming out. Back Martin Jol was nobody. He was an assistant before he got the chance and stepped up. And that was from my memory, growing up as a Tottenham guy back in that period of time, that was the first time I saw Tottenham really start to emerge and become a little bit competitive. So look, I'm not suggesting that Stellini is going to be like any material difference, but that's only because there's not enough of a sample size. We're going to see over the next 2, 3, 4 games, if Tottenham do play for 90 minutes today, if we get the job done, you're going to see that noise pick up and be amplified. If we then go to Chelsea in 7 days' time or 6 days' time and do the same again and beat Chelsea at home, which is something we very rarely do, you're going to start hearing more and more noise around the Conte out being justified, not necessarily Stellini in, but maybe that will be a noise that will start to become a hashtag. You know, so I don't think there's any reason to make anything of it right now. But if he does, if we put in a good performance today, you're going to start to see that narrative emerge, and it will become louder and more palpable. But right now, I don't think it's the thing for me personally just yet.
Marlon, any strong feelings on this?
No, not really. I think I actually agree with Sean on that point. I think you're getting a lot of people that are kind of wanting Conte out, kind of just clutching at straws at the moment. But yeah, if we start performing over the next couple of weeks, people will start getting on the Conte out train. I heard a lot when I was in Milan on the train, a lot with Spurs fans. There was a lot of people questioning Conte, which is the first time I've known this season. But it's a case of, let's see how the next couple of weeks go. The games that we've had without him, you know, let's be honest, they were Conte's tactics. It was just because he wasn't there. It probably still the same thing would have happened. But yeah, it's going to be, today's important, but next week, we'll see next week. I think we'll see more about it next week to see how the players performing more than today.
Yeah. On the counter though, Dave and Marlon.
For sure. And I think, look, we've also got to remember. Yeah, go on.
I was just going to say, if we put in a
no, go on.
Today, yeah, I think you are. You've got a bit of a delay on the thing. I'll be real quick. Oh, he's dropped out anyway. Well, Marlon, here's what I will say. If we do put in a stinker performance, let's hope we don't, but if we do put in a stinker, then you know that narrative again will expire very quickly, right? People are going to stop talking about Stellini. So it's not, to me, it's like the same with Porro. People that are writing Porro off. There's a few people that are like, oh, you know, what's going on? You spent all this money on Porro and he's worse than Emerson Royale. Like, come on, everyone needs to just breathe and not make like rash, like shoot from the hip, knee-jerk reactions based on tiny sample sizes. So hopefully Stellini is a breath of fresh air into the team. But at the same time, I'd almost be uncomfortable with that. I don't personally believe that Conte is going to be here past the summer anyway. But in a world where like he's fighting to get back healthy and comes back to the team, if there is this system that emerges, this narrative that emerges, that actually under Antonio Conte, people do feel like they can't express themselves creatively on the pitch. And under Stellini, they can, because people are scared of, like, I don't know, of stepping outside of Conte's instructions, specifically on the side of on the touchline. That's a problem in and of itself as well, though, isn't it?
Yeah, true. It is a problem, but look, it comes down to what I've said and about some of these players. I'm not going to tarnish all of them because we've got a lot more different players than what we did have under previous managers. But you know, there is a culture there where some of them are afraid to make mistakes, no matter the manager. But when you look at their interviews, they blame everybody else but themselves. And Winks highlights that with his comments during the week. And it's like, we've got to stop playing scared. And this is a big, massive part of the problem. People are playing scared. Like any one of them players out there today, if you're playing in the forward area, you're scared to lose that ball because you know any minute you could find yourself, 1-0 down, 2-0 down, 3-0 down before you know it. So I do think there is a massive part of these guys playing scared. But I take your point, Sean. If they are scared to express themselves under Antonio Conte, then or under any manager in general, I think we've got huge problems at this football club, even bigger than what I thought. Yeah, it's not right. That should never happen. You can't have that as a culture where they're afraid to express themselves under a manager.
Well, let's hope that's not the case. Let's really hope it's not the case. But at the same time, look, by hook or by crook, we need to get the result today. And for the time being, I'd be happy to see Tottenham play with a little bit more creative freedom. But the lineup doesn't suggest that that's the case. The lineup suggests like we are being instructed to sit back, absorb. It looks like we're more worried about them than we would otherwise be against other teams, and that maybe we're going to hope to break. And you know what? I think like if we sit back and let West Ham United have 60% of possession, I think you might get a little bit of unrest in the crowd. People are going to get pretty annoyed, pretty frustrated. This is a local derby. Dave, you and I were there last season. I'm not sure if you were, Marlon, but I met Dave and I met all the YouTube community. This was my birthday weekend, I think it was, like this time last year, or this fixture last season. And we won the game 3-1.
Yeah.
But it's against West Ham, right? You have to put your, but it's a London derby. You have to go for it. But the team suggests to me that that's not really the intention of the squad today.
I think we're all I think at the moment we're all sitting there confused, because I think once we saw Ben Davies as the left wing back, you're kind of going, how defensive has he gone? But personally, I think Davis will probably push up, will be more forward thinking than what we're all thinking right now. Because he has, let's be honest, he has played that way before. He has played left back and he has played left, and he likes to go forward. So I don't think it's going to be as defensive. What worries me is that, you know, Emerson can't attack. So you are kind of left remotely without no one going forward. But we'll have to wait and see. You know, they've tried to match us, which is a good thing, because now we can the players can express themselves. If they can't do that under Conte, it's a worrying thing completely. I completely agree with you there, Dave. You've got to be able to express yourself in this game. But yeah, until the first 10 minutes of this game, none of us will know. If I was at the stadium right now, I'd be like, what the hell is this in front of me? But it's, again, we've got to be confident. We've got to be confident in what's going on and just kind of get on. Let's see what happens and then judge afterwards.
I think the fact that the match is up, it comes a game of win your battle. You know, if we can win enough of them battles over the pitch, we should be able to sort of get on the front foot against West Ham. But again, you know, I'll highlight my concerns. You know, how are we going to get the ball into the forward areas consistently enough and quick enough or good enough for these forwards to be able to get a hold of it? Like, look, I know what Marlon's saying, that Davies might be a bit more offensive than what we think. Me personally, I think he's put in there to stifle bone. But even when he does go forward, he's useless. You know, there's no end product. You know, if I was Harry Kane, I'd look at him running down the wing. I'd be like, why would I bother getting into the box? It's not coming anywhere near me. You look at Emerson the other side. I think, you know, okay, against Milan, he didn't really lose the ball in the final third, but he didn't exactly put in a lot of crosses either. So that worries me. You two guys in midfield, Højbjerg and Skip. You know, look, I like Højbjerg. He's having his best season in terms of output, but you know, again, it's the consistency on the ball from Højbjerg that maybe isn't there at times. And Skip, I've seen what he was like against Bournemouth going forward. He was absolutely useless. Gave the ball away multiple times. You know, had no real sort of idea. So I do worry about the creativity in this team today. I really do worry about it. But saying that, you know, we do have a bad record of going down in the first half of games recently. Maybe it is looking to contain them and maybe unleash us a bit in the second half. But we'll wait and see.
It's not so much for me. Like I've been saying this for a while. Like, it doesn't matter. People were asking me. I was on this WeAreTottenhamTV last week after the Milan game. People are, is Sarr going to be the replacement for Bentancur? And I made the point that whilst it's brilliant to see this guy emerge, obviously he's not playing to start the game today. But to me, like, the midfield, if Sarr and Skip and Højbjerg played, or Sarr and Skip played to that level against Milan for the rest of the season, it doesn't matter, right? If the defense are as leaky as they have been, and if the forward line can't create. What is it? 11 goals in 8 or 9 games they've scored now. First half of the season before the World Cup, or, you know, up until just before the World Cup, we were banging in 30-odd goals, whatever it was, right? We've scored solid goals recently, and the team look like they're completely without any chemistry in the front line. To me, the difference between winning or losing sounds obvious. It's not necessarily about anything other than what the front line do. So if you have Ben Davies on the left, if you have Emerson Royal on the right, we still have, and with the back three, even if we do put that kind of midfield and backline 7, even if those guys do have the instruction today to sit back and control, those front 3, you get the ball to them. If they're on point, we can still generate enough quality between those 3 against that particular backline without Kurt Zouma. We can absolutely score goals, but it depends on what Harry Kane turns up. It depends what Richarlison turns up. If Richarlison receives the ball on the left-hand side and his first thought is to do a nutmeg or to do some sort of back heel, if he does a back heel in the first 10 minutes of the game, Dave, I'm on your channel with you. Like, I'll give everyone a fair warning now. Like, take your earphones off, because I will be effing and blinding. If he does a nutmeg or a back heel in the first 10 minutes, there will be hell to pay. Decky needs to step up. He's on the back of his injury. I get it. He's coming back from injury, but we rely on you, bro. You're our creator in chief up there. Need you to step up. Harry Kane, you need to be able to dominate, win the ball, or draw the foul like you used to be able to do, which you haven't done the last couple of weeks. If those three can turn it on, we'll be fine. If they struggle, we won't. That to me is the difference today.
Spot on. I just want to justify two things in the chat from Sava. The first one was, David, it's West Ham. Stop making out they're a good team. Not once have I actually sat here and said the words West Ham and good together. In fact, I actually don't like West Ham. I hate them, and I don't really hate them. I find them very negative. And then he says, Dave, you justify everything negative. Second of all, I'm not justifying it. I clearly stated I don't like it when I started off what I was talking about. But what I did say is, when you look at the amount of goals we concede, I understand it. That's not justifying it. That's just looking at the logic behind it. That's all that is. It's not justifying anything, by the way. But Marlon, any closing statements for you, my man?
No, I think at the end of the day, we've all looked at the lineup and we've all gone, okay. And it is a very defensive lineup at home. But you know what? Let's judge afterwards. We will, because if we come out of this and we get 3 points, we'll, that's why we're fans and they're picking the team. But at the same time, we've seen these players week in, week out, and I tend to hope that Conte has not seen or after see what he saw on Tuesday and said to Stellini, that's the lineup he wants. I hope there's injuries or something behind it to why he's gone like this. But we'll see. But come on, you Spurs, isn't it? Come on.
Come on, Tottenham.
Look, at the end of the day, it's a London derby. Things can change very, very quickly in football. Let's wait and see what happens. I do hope we can get out there and put in a good performance today. Look, it is very defensive. Like I said, I do worry about how we're forward. But, at the end of the day, I'll always predict Spurs can win. I get up for the games. And it's not beyond the realms of possibility. But look, what I do want to see today, I want to see fight. I don't want to see any capitulation. I want to see fight. I want to see us hungry. I want to see us outrun teams. I want to see us create chances, not sitting there waiting for a scrappy goal. I want to see us create some clear-cut chances that we should be putting in the back of the net. But I also want to see them repay fans. Them fans who travelled away to Leicester, away to AC Milan, to see some of the lackluster performances we have done. Even the guys that are watching it from home. Everyone deserves a good performance from this Tottenham team today. And there's no better time to do it than someone like West Ham today. A London derby. Give yourself confidence going into the Chelsea game, then the FA Cup, the Champions League game. It's games like these that can make or break a season. Like I said earlier on, I think the next 4 or 5 games would dictate, who the manager of this football club is going to be and what direction we're going in.
Yeah.
But we're still in the FA Cup. We can still qualify for top 4 with teams dropping points yesterday. Let's try and make a good go of it.
Dave, you know what, mate? You're spot on about the performance. I was at the Leicester game. It was a slog of a day to get up there. I sat in a car park for an hour and a half trying to get out afterwards. Didn't get home until late. It was disgusting. It was a terrible performance. It didn't justify the effort. But I can't remember, apart from like Man City. Before Man City, when was the last time that we were really impressed by a performance from Tottenham? It's been a while, right? It's been a very long time. One decent performance in probably more than 10. We are due one, and against West Ham, if we put in a shift today and we get the result and everything goes tickety-boo, you're going to see the uptick in energy. If we put in a shit show, pardon my French, if we put in a shit show today, then you're going to see the kind of the daggers being, the bow being drawn back, the daggers out, and it's going to be, more pessimism. It doesn't need to be that way. It starts with a tip-top effort. If we play with heart and play with fight, we're better than West Ham in quality, in squad, in depth, in talent, in everything else. The only thing that will make West Ham win this game is either individual mistakes or a lack of heart. Who wants it more? Yeah. And it's a London derby. Tottenham need to recognise that this is West Ham's cup final. So this needs to be our. We need to be conscious of that, cognizant of that, and if we do that, then I think we can win the game comfortably.
Absolutely. Well, look, guys, we are coming to an end. Marlon, any last words, and where can people find you, my man?
Yeah. So if you put my handle into YouTube, that's where you can find me. A View from the South Stand TV. We do match reactions. We've got some other shows coming out next month as well that we're going to start doing. Come on, I need, if you 11 of you could just sign up and say I want to get to 250 by the end of today. So come on. But yeah, A View from the South Stand TV is where you can find me. And I'll be doing the watch along next week as well on WeAreTottenham TV. So you can find me next week on there as well.
There you have it, guys. I'm going to drop his link in here now. Like he said, he only needs 12, so let's try and make it happen for Marlon. You know, let's start the day as we mean to go on. So let's make Marlon a winner. Let's get them 12 subs we need, and hopefully Tottenham will follow. Shawnee, my man, where can people find you? Not that I don't think they don't know, but you know, just sometimes a healthy reminder of what's going on over there at Spurs Talk Show.
Yeah, get yourself over. I really appreciate. First of all, get yourself over to Marlon. Make sure you're over at the Irish Hotspur as well. But if you haven't already found me, you can find me at Spurs Talk Show. I think the link is in the private chat, Dave. I don't know if you put it in the thing there, but I'm at 5,270 or something. So I'm on the way towards 6, on the long march towards 10K. Listen, get yourself over to mine, get yourself over to Marlon's, get yourself over to Dave's, get yourself over to everybody's. As soon as if you're a Tottenham fan and you find a Tottenham channel, subscribe to them. You know, just get like support everybody, and we're all on our various little marches, various little time scales. So, but more important than that, I'm going to say 2-1 today, Tottenham, and I'm going to say, come on, you Spurs.
Love it. Marlon, I don't think we got your score prediction, buddy.
I'm going for a 1-0, probably Kane. I'm going for another 1-0 penalty or just something late in the second half. But yeah, that's my prediction. So come on, you Spurs.
Love that. Look, guys, you can find me over at the Irish Hotspur. Over here, I'm more of a host, so you can hear more of my opinions over at the Irish Hotspur if you want. Like Sean said, we're all Spurs supporters. Even if you don't like me, because I know I'm like Marmite, you know, maybe Marlon, Sean as well. At the end of the day, we're all Spurs fans. So, you know, try and get over there and support the dream at all costs. That would be unbelievable. But I'm going to go 2-1 Tottenham today. I'm looking at it. I think it's going to be a bit of a tight, cagey affair. But like Sean says, I think this one comes down to who wants it most, who's got the most heart, and who's the most hungry. And hopefully that's fucking Tottenham Hotspur today. We are going to end off. Stay tuned for the watch along. I believe it's Nick and Josh, if I'm correct. I believe
Dave, just before you let us go, Raf, the last comment, Raf has put in Sonny hat-trick off the bench today. Right. If that happens, if it's a tight affair, if it's 1-1, right, and Sonny comes on in the 60th minute and goes, I'm going to show you bastards. Does he go straight back into the team, or is this yet more evidence that he's becoming an off the bench player? Like, it'll be a good time, you know.
Honestly, it'll only throw up more headaches than answers. To be honest with you, I'm not sure I can take any more.
I would take it though. I'd take a hat trick, a second half hat trick from Heung-Min Son. It'd be beautiful.
But there is potential that coming off the bench, you know, might suit Sonny today. Might also inspire him, fire him up, you know, to get his place back in the team. That's the reason why you drop a player in the first place, because you want the response. I'll be honest, if someone comes off the bench around 60 minutes, I would put on money for a Sonny brace for sure.
Yeah. I'd love it. And I think that would be absolutely superb. It'd be superb for him, superb for Tottenham fans, superb for the football club as well. Come on, Sonny. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on.
That's it, we trust. Let's beat the Hammers today. See you all here on the flip side. Come on, Tottenham.
Come on, Spurs.